have an opportunity to talk more with Peter. Now, our next guest is actually the man behind Bett&Bike, and I'm not going to explain too much about Bett&Bike because you will do that, Wolfgang. But I think you were initiating that. I think you were the first organization really labeling accommodation for tourists.
Yes, we started in 1991, 1992, and then it developed quite well, and I will explain how.
Okay, I'll leave you to it. Thanks, Wolfgang.
Yes, hello, dear audience. I thank you that I could speak here in Roskilde in Denmark. But first of all, I must tell you that I speak very bad English. That's because I never had any lesson at any school in English. I came from the other part of Germany, the GDR, former GDR, where I had to learn Russian. So after my escape in 1964, when I escaped from east to west across the barbed wire fences and the mine stripe, I could start with English, and most of my words I picked up a long way when I cycled around the globe in between 1981 and 1985, 73,000 kilometers, which impressed me totally, and that's the reason why I stay here now. But I hope you understand what I mean, and that is more important. If not, you can ask me afterwards. That is the most important question. If you are on a long-distance cycle tour, you stay in different villages and towns, you must look for accommodation. So if you are on a trip by bicycle, you have always the same question in mind. But nearly half of the cyclists are organizing their trips, individual cyclists are organizing their trips well in advance. They book their hotels, their accommodation, though they are quite safe, they can cycle without problems. But the other half, they are more spontaneous, they believe that they can find something. Sometimes it's easy, especially in the springtime or in the autumn session of the year, but in the middle of the year, sometimes we will have a lot of problems. So we encourage our members, we have 130,000 members in the German Bicycle Association, not to be such spontaneous as they normally are. So we need beds. So I've seen this picture, it's quite nice, the right one. It is called porting, or how do you call it?
I've stolen it.
He stolen, okay. But it's nice. I took it in one hotel on the Oder-Neiße long-distance cycle track, and I was happy about their doing, as can I see. So what are bicycle-friendly accommodations and how we can create them? But first I want to make some reviews to look back. We started in the beginning of the 90s because when we cycled, sometimes they refused to give us a place in their hotel because we are not so clean, we are not so smart like the other guests. And of course, the most important reason was we wanted to stay only for one night. And those sometimes said, no, it's too much work, you have to clean up the room and all the things. So you can stay here for 1 week, yes, but not for one night. So this happened many times to our members. And then we came together and talked about this situation. We said, okay, you can forget these hotels and accommodations. We have to look to the other part, to the persons, to the directors, to the man who is organizing a hotel, which are open for us. So this was the reason why we first start to write down our wishes. What are our wishes to get to come into a hotel, to get a nice hotel where we are welcome. And from this, we developed the minimum requirements, which I will show you later. And we published this criteria for the first time in 1995 on the International Tourism Fair in Berlin. Then it starts quite heavily because the media published it in their newspapers, and we start to collect so-called positive address where we are welcome. We informed our members to tell us where they slept well, where they can recommend these houses for other cyclists. So the first small brochure appears in 1995, 1996. I call it a new number, which about 2,800 copies. So this was for me the result that it is a real market to need a kind of booklet which addresses where they can sleep and where they are welcome. Later on, we get in contact with publishing houses, and it was published on the Bielefelder Verlagsanstalt, and later on together with Esther Bauer in Vienna. Here you can see our different editions where they grew up, and this is the one we issued right last week in Stuttgart on the CNT. There was a date where we opened the new magazine, the new book for Bett&Bike. We started also to create some regional projects because the work was growing and I couldn't do it all by myself. So I looked around to our partners in Germany, the ADFC groups, and at the end, now we are 10 persons working for Bett&Bike. Of course, if you have in different areas of Germany different persons doing their job, you have to coordinate them. Otherwise, the project will go away in different directions which you normally don't like. So we implemented a coordination group, and we meet each other at least 3 times a year. We produced sign, label, and certificate for the first time between 1997 and 2009. We have had this one, and later, since 2010, we have a new label, a new logo for our project, which is more comparable with the logo of the ADFC. You see, the former one was not so. Nobody could see is it an ADFC project or not. But now you can easily attack me. Yes. We created some service products for our partners, like flags and stickers and so on, and of course an internet database where we publish all our partners. So what are the wishes of touring cyclists, and how they can fulfill by hotels, restaurants, or especially by small houses like pensions or guest houses? First, we have sometimes or mostly our best bike. If we go on a bicycle tour, we don't choose the ordinary bicycle if we have more than one. Of course, the ordinary bicycle we use normally in the town, in the village, when we make our commuting services. So we take the costly bike, and so we don't like to leave it outside unattended. Maybe you can lock it, but it's not nice to have it not on your area, and if you don't know it is really safe, then you don't sleep well. Yeah. So you want to cycle again next morning, though you need your bicycle. Wet clothes sometimes. It's raining not only in Germany, it's also raining in Denmark and Sweden. So when we come to a hotel in the evening, we are really pitch nass. We call it in German pitch nass. Soaking wet. Then you need a dryer, you need a drying room or heating room. Sometimes it's sufficient. If you have a line for the clothes, it's okay. Next morning, if it's dry, it's okay. How matter with which method you keep it dry. We need sometimes cycling maps. Of course, most of the cyclists are well provided by maps and other material, but sometimes there are always a growing number of new cyclists, new touring cyclists. They are not experienced. They cycle and they just start, and then they discover what they have done wrong. So with maps, the same problem. Sometimes they take their car atlases and cycle with them. So it's not recommended, and we tell them the houses, the hotels, pensions, guest houses have to provide good maps. We need sometimes bicycle repair set and so on. But I will now tell you the requirements. We have exactly 7 minimum requirements and about 10 further recommendations, which I also want to explain. First, we don't accept hotels, guest houses, and holiday inns and whatever you have when they don't like us for one night. They are excluded. And if we listen from customers, from our members who have been in 1 or 2 hotels and they refused, then it is a reason to cancel the contact to this hotel. The safe place for the bicycle. It doesn't matter which way, but it must be closed, it must be dry, and it must be safe in your own feeling. Drying facilities, provision of a good cyclist breakfast, which is nowadays normal. You have like in the hotel here, in the Skandinavien hotel in Roskilde, you have a buffet and you can choose what you want, so it's okay. And you need, of course, different kind of information, not the whole information about cycling in Germany, but the regional ones we need. Regional maps, regional books, and so on. Also, timetables for trains. If you stop your trip right here on this place and you want to go back by train, or the other time if you want to go to another town and start again with your traveling. You need some pieces of bicycle tools, though you can repair your bicycle, but also we discovered in the last 5 or 10 years the quality of bicycles are increasing, going better and better, so it's not really necessary to keep your own tools with you, but when you have a problem, you can think about the next hotel, the next Bett&Bike house. They offer you some basic tools so you can do it by yourself. And if you failed, if you didn't fix your bicycle, then you have the addresses and the opening times of the nearby bicycle shops where they can do the job quite well. So all 7 at a glance, but I explained. Now the further recommendations. Bett&Bike houses have to fulfill all 7 basic criteria, but only 2 of the further recommendations. So they can select what they can offer and they can leave the rest. But of course, if they fulfill more than 2, 3, 4, or 5, it's better for us, like cyclists, because we feel better in this house, and also for the house itself, because they get more guests. We need information, though they should be provided about the way from our home to the hotel or back. Transportation. Sometimes if you stick in the forest, it's raining, you have a problem with your bicycle or with your legs or with your back or whatsoever, you can call and ask if they can catch you, can take you to their houses. This provision of description of local and regional cycling routes, which normally are not in your pannier, not in your luggage, but you will get it with a special information directly from the Bett&Bike house. But sometimes people don't come with their own bicycle, but they see the region is very well developed for cyclists, so they want to cycle, but they don't have one. So it's good if a house can also sell or can hire, or you can hire a bicycle in the house where you stay. Transport service for luggage in case you want to go further on to the next house and it's difficult to cycle. For example, the ground is not good. It was raining the last night and all was soaked and you don't feel quite well on this. So you can ask the owner of the hotel to bring the luggage to the next accommodation. Normally it's only 50, 60 or 80 kilometers away, so it's not so difficult to organize this. Reservation service for the next accommodation for the next night is quite nice for us. And of course, if there are different Bett&Bike houses along a road, they recommend each other. If you come from the south to the north, the hotels in the south recommend hotels more in the north and vice versa. Sometimes it's nice to have some spare parts, but it's not really necessary, but it's good to have contact to the nearest bicycle shop. You know the next bicycle-friendly establishment in the region, and a packet lunch to take away, or a guest book, which is nice. If you see this sign, this flag, this pennant, and the logo, the placard, you can feel well because you are invited to stay in these houses. Where they are located in Germany, most of the Bett&Bike houses are located in the southern and western part of Germany. It depends, of course, of the density of population on one side and also of the development of bicycle tourism. You easily can find out that where they have good roads, good routes for cyclists, where they have good signposting, where they have shelters along the way, more people cycle. And of course, they need beds. That is the reason why we have more in the southern part, because it was more developed in southern Bavaria, Baden-Württemberg, and other parts. And on the other hand, in eastern Germany, especially in the north and the middle, there are not so many Bett&Bike houses nowadays, but we are working on this. Yes, okay. You see, the outer circle shows the demand of cyclists, where they want to sleep. So you see 31% wants to sleep in hotels, but we have in our Bett&Bike project 49%, so it's too much hotels. And on the other side, 26% of our cyclists want to sleep in pensions, in small houses, but we can offer only 8%. This is a real big problem for us, and we have to do a lot to get more small companies, more small houses to bring them in our project. What we are doing for our partners, they will get a Bett&Bike sign, a certificate, we present it in our internet database. We have this directory, we sell it, we bring it under the user. We have also connection to other maps and guidebooks, where all the regional Bett&Bike houses are listed on the rear side. You can download GPS data, for basic data for your GPS devices, and of course we present this on exhibitions and so on. Here you see our entrance of the internet database Bett&Bike.de, and if you go on one of the houses you can see more, and you see the location where it is situated, how can you reach the hotel. The green lines, for example, show all the bicycle routes and tracks to reach this place, for example. Our directory, we are doing marketing with maps and books, presentation on different, especially regional fairs in all parts of Germany. They're quite productive because we have 130,000 members in Germany, and they are organized in local groups, and they can present our product directly to the customer. On navigation devices, you can find our logo and also on the iPhone app. We are doing print advertising for our customers, means for our Bett&Bike houses, and of course in our own membership magazine, Radwelt, or the most sold brochure 500,000 Deutschland per Rad entdecken. So now you want to know how much does it cost for one of this hotel or pension or whatsoever want to be a member of Bett&Bike. First, they have to pay 123 euro in the first year for like an entrance fee, and we have a reduced price for non-commercial houses with less than 8 beds. And then the following year and the following years, they have to pay a fixed rate for every house for 35 euro and a company fee, which is, I think, very important to get more small houses into the project. If you have, for example, only 2 rooms, you pay only 2 multiplied by 6, means 12 euro plus 35, 47, that's all. And you get the same Leistung? Services as the big hotels, who pay maybe 70 multiplied per 6. You can by yourself find out how's the price. For camping places and restaurants, which are only a very minor part in the Bett&Bike project, you see the prices over there. And now you can see the development of Bett&Bike. It's, in my opinion, a very normal growing procedure. It's not like ups and downs. It's just growing like a tree or like something else. So it's natural. It has a real background, and I think we will have a long future. But on the other hand, you also see it's declining. It's coming to maybe 6,000, 7,000 will be the end. That is my prognostic word now. So at the end, I will tell you something, only few, about our quality assurance. We are doing some visits, we are organizing inspections by qualified persons, we are doing mystery checks and spot checks by instructed members, especially our tour leaders. We have about 3,800 guides in different parts of Germany, and when they go for more than 1 day out of their town and sleep somewhere else, they normally sleep in Bett&Bike houses, and then they tell us what they discovered. These are the reason for the success. We have a unique name, a unique logo, a database which is valid in whole Germany, and so on. And nowadays we have 10 persons working for this project, and we have a turnover of about 650,000 euro a year, so it's quite a good project. But of course, it was only possible by a very positive surrounding. I think if I would start this project, or I would have started this project 10 years earlier, there was no chance to have such a growth. But in 1995, it was a real movement. More and more people wanted to do some cycling, so they asked us for maps, for routes, and of course, where we can sleep. And in the beginning, we have had no answer, but now we have one. We have a strong bicycle club, and we have, I think, fair conditions to our partners, and so on. And the bicycle tourism is steadily growing even right today. We have cooperation now with Luxembourg. We have seen this picture before. It's from their homepage. And we are planning now the first steps with Niederösterreich, Lower Austria for the end. And the vision for Europe, I think, we are cycling without borders anyway, and we will come to the Euro region. Mostly Germans are going to the north, to the east, to the west, and they want to find the same, nearly the same, what they are used in Germany. So if we have, or if we can create a European-wide label, can be very different to the ours, but it should be used in all countries. It would be a real nice thing. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.